It started with a spark.
Cornerback Deion Sanders for the San Francisco 49ers had some harsh words for his former teammate at a recent press conference, saying he wished all the other players would have gotten off the field so he could go at it one-on-one with Rison.
And literally included a fire.
The home of an Atlanta Falcons player is burning today.
This is the bombastic tale of two superstars who went from brothers to beef.
Rison's response was swift, saying if he wants to go one-on-one, we can go one-on-one all day.
This was a moment that shattered one of the NFL's most genuine friendships. A moment when two men who once called each other brothers threw punches in front of 70,000 fans at the Georgia Dome in 1994. This is the story of how professional sports can destroy even the strongest bonds. How pride, circumstance, and wounded hearts can turn soulmates into enemies. And how sometimes love isn't enough to keep brothers together. Decades later, Deion would say, "That wasn't right. That was my dog, though. Man, that's my dog. I love him for life, man. That was just stupid and ignorant." Their paths first crossed as college rivals in the late 1980s, with neither particularly impressed by the other. Deion Sanders, the flamboyant cornerback from Florida State, and Bad Moon Rison, the explosive receiver from Michigan State, battled in epic matchups that established mutual respect through fierce competition. Sanders had gotten the better of those college encounters, holding Rison to just one catch in their first meeting, but something deeper grew from that rivalry. When Rison was traded to Atlanta in 1990, just 1 year after Sanders joined the Falcons, magic happened. They bunked together at training camp, becoming what Sanders called soulmates. The trash-talking college rivals had evolved into genuine best friends who pushed each other to greatness. "I loved Atlanta," Sanders would later reflect. "Atlanta was a chocolate city. They were an understanding city. They were a city I could ride with, and I knew they was going to ride with me." The 1991 season was their masterpiece together. Both made the Pro Bowl as Sanders locked down the league's best receivers, while Rison torched defenses with 1,208 receiving yards and 12 touchdowns. Together, they helped catapult the historically struggling Falcons to their first playoff appearance in nearly a decade. They became known as PrimeTime and ShowTime, drawing celebrities like MC Hammer to the sidelines and appearing together in his Too Legit to Quit music video. Rison saw Sanders as someone who matched his competitive intensity and mouth. Sanders viewed Rison as his hero. They were more than teammates. They were brothers who understood each other's swagger and supported each other through everything. As Rison would later say, "That was my boy. That was my brother." But success in Atlanta proved fleeting. Despite their individual brilliance, the Falcons couldn't sustain their winning ways. Team struggles began to expose cracks that hadn't been visible during their golden season, and off-field distractions mounted for both stars. Rison's personal life became tabloid fodder through his tumultuous relationship with TLC's Lisa Left Eye Lopez. In June 1994, their relationship reached a dramatic and destructive peak when Lopez set fire to his Georgia mansion, literally almost seeing his career engulfed in flames. The incident made national headlines and added chaos to an already difficult period. Meanwhile, Sanders faced his own crossroads. With his contract expiring and the Falcons struggling to build a winning culture, he began exploring his options. Atlanta offered him $1.7 million, but Sanders wanted more than money. He wanted a championship. The betrayal came without warning on September 9th, 1994. Sanders shocked the football world by signing with the division rival San Francisco 49ers for less money than Atlanta had offered. This wasn't about finances, it was about winning. Sanders was vocal about he viewed the Falcons as an organization, saying that they showed no signs of being a real contender. For Rison, this felt like the ultimate betrayal. His best friend, his brother, had not only abandoned the team but joined a division rival while publicly criticizing the organization. The man who had been there for him during the house fire, who had shared his dreams and struggles, had walked away without explanation. Sanders later admitted that when he left Atlanta, he knew he hurt someone he considered a brother, but he didn't know how to break the news to Dre that he was splitting. Rison's hurt manifested as anger. The pain of abandonment by someone he loved and trusted as family cut deeper than any football rivalry ever could. With both players now in the same division, 2 meetings per season were guaranteed, and the media anticipated fireworks. Rison's pain transformed into public dismissal as he began referring to Sanders as that baseball player for the Cincinnati Reds, a cutting reference to Sanders' dual sport career that minimized his football achievements. Sanders was particularly wounded by Rison's comments because he had been there during the house fire incident with Left Eye. The fact that someone he considered a brother would turn on him so publicly cut deep. Sanders fired back, suggesting that Rison was acting out of jealousy or envy. The Week 7 matchup between the Falcons and 49ers became the focal point of their feud. The pre-game build-up was intense, with both players making it clear this was personal. Rison initially tried to walk back some of his comments, claiming he was misquoted. But when pressed about reconciliation, he doubled down, saying the Falcons were a real team without Deion. Sanders made it clear the matchup was personal, stating that the attacks on his name gave him extra motivation and that he would prefer to have Rison all to himself on the field. When Rison heard about Sanders' comments, he seemed genuinely confused about why Deion felt so offended, but didn't back down. I never said anything derogatory towards Deion, and if he has a personal vendetta against me or a problem with me, the hell with him. And if he want to go one-on-one, we can go one-on-one all day. When the teams finally met on October 16, 1994, the game lived up to the hype. Sanders shadowed Rison throughout most of the contest, and tensions reached a boiling point in the second quarter. After Sanders jammed Rison off the line and got in his helmet on a dead ball, the very next play saw Rison fire off the ball and go directly at Sanders. Without hesitation, Sanders threw a left hook, and what followed was a barrage of punches to the head before referees could separate them. Remarkably, neither player was ejected. Sanders later caught Falcons quarterback Jeff George with a perfectly timed interception, tiptoeing down the sideline before high-stepping into the end zone in classic PrimeTime fashion, mockingly staring down the entire Falcons sideline. It was both spectacular football and a deeply personal moment of triumph and pain. As Sanders would later reflect, it was about us fighting. It was about me leaving my partner. I left my partner, went to another team. Man was mad. There was 2 homies, man, just taking out their frustrations. The aftermath. What happened after that game was perhaps more remarkable than the fight itself. When the final whistle blew, Sanders immediately sought out Rison at midfield to apologize. The heat of competition had given way to the underlying love and respect they still had for each other. Sanders admitted he had nothing but love for his old friend and explained that the fight was sparked by his aggressive nature. Rison confirmed it was Sanders' jam that prompted his retaliation, but downplayed the actual fight, noting that he didn't feel much because of all the gear. By their second meeting that season, the drama had completely dissipated. Sanders reported that they chopped it up the entire game, going deeper than football, while Rison said talking to Sanders during the game reminded him of the good old days when they were roomies, making him forget all about the other antics. Years later, both retired players came together to set the record straight about their relationship. In a candid conversation that demonstrated the maturity that comes with perspective, they revealed the true source of their conflict and the pain that had driven them apart. Rison acknowledged his hurt, and his inability to express anger productively helped escalate matters. The resolution was as genuine as their original friendship. Both men recognized that their massive egos had forced them to snub each other to protect their feelings. But once they got everything out of their system, they were cool and remained boys for life. Their story offers profound lessons about friendship, pride, and the business realities of professional sports. Sanders went on to win Super Bowls with San Francisco and Dallas, achieving the championship success he had sought. Rison found his own success, including a memorable contribution to the Green Bay Packers' Super Bowl 31 victory. But perhaps the most important victory was their reconciliation. Their feud stands out in sports history not because of its intensity, but because it was rooted in genuine friendship, that was temporarily fractured by hurt feelings and wounded pride. Their ability to move past their differences and maintain their bond serves as a powerful reminder that even the hottest conflicts can be extinguished when real love exists between the parties involved. The business of football had temporarily torn apart one of its most authentic friendships, but it couldn't destroy the foundation of respect and affection that had brought them together. In a sports world often defined by manufactured drama and artificial rivalries, Sanders and Rison's story reminds us that the most compelling narratives are often the most human ones, stories of friendship tested, broken, and ultimately redeemed. Today, both men look back on their conflict not with bitterness, but with the understanding that it was a necessary part of their journey together. Their feud may have been piping hot when it was active, but like all great friendships tested by adversity, it ultimately made their bond stronger. Sometimes the greatest victories happen not on the field, but in the quiet moments when two friends choose love over pride and brotherhood over ego.